Dun, 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 dun. Hello YouTube, this is Rice81, and we have the final match of 3/17/2013 in the Pokemon Black and White video game tournament. So, Politoed is the lead in Johnny's party, and Donzaloog is the lead in the Close Sides party. So now, we got Ferrothorn that comes out onto the predicted Ice Beam, takes it very decently well. These guys faced in the whatchamacallit, they faced in the Swiss, and now they're facing in the finals. So out comes Mimoswine trying to use the spike setup to his advantage and try to scare out the Ferrothorn. So here Mimoswine just goes straight for the Earthquake, thinking it's neutral damage because it's resisted by grass and neutral and double by steel, and Mimoswine just has a shoot ton of attack, so it almost takes out the Ferrothorn. Really cool. So now here, Johnny's going to be in a sticky situation, either to predict the Gliscor to come in and go for the Ice Shard or Icicle Spear, and or stay in with the Earthquake, and yeah, so he tries to switch out, goes directly into Politoed to get rid of the get rid of the Leech Seed, and here thinking that Ferrothorn could take the Earthquake, go straight for the Gyro Ball, which doesn't really do too much because Politoed is very slow, just like Ferrothorn, and also resists Steel. So then Politoed with the Rain, he goes straight for the Scold because he's probably hoping for a burn, which he does get it. Thank goodness. It's a 30% chance, so I mean it's but the Spikes is layering up on Johnny on the far side. So yes, getting the burn on Ferrothorn is good and all, but I mean those Spikes might play a very big role later on in the game. So here, Politoed goes with the Perish Song to try to force Ferrothorn out in like 3 turns, but either way, the burn's gonna force him out. So I don't know. Johnny's kind of playing not necessarily the best at this point. So he's gonna force a double switch at some point, which is cool and all. Which is actually not a bad idea, and I actually might start using something similar to that with the Perish Song, because a lot of my teams have a lot of good leads where, you know, they come out fresh and bada bing bada boom. So Perish Song really does make the double switch happen. So here out comes his own Ferrothorn, while the other Ferrothorn is setting up, but is also switching at this point. So now you have Ferrothorn versus Jellicent, and it's kind of a toss-up depending on what movesets both of these players have. If the Ferrothorn has the Power Whip, the Jellicent may or may not be in trouble. But at this case, he plays it safe, thinking that about the switch. Goes for the Leech Seed right off the rip just to see what the Jellicent will do. It was a nice prediction on the closer side of the playing field, thinking that he probably won't go for the the big move Vine Whip thingy. So now he switches right out into Donzaloog, predicting the Power Whip. Let's see what his Ferrothorn does. He goes straight for the Leech Seed, knowing that he's going to switch. That was a really good move. Now that Donzaloog has only a limited amount, has life draining from him every turn. That's really cool. Now both Ferrothorns are burned, so right now the playing field looks pretty equal for the most part. Even though the Politoed does have a little bit more damage on it than and the Ferrothorn has a lot of damage. So now out comes the Tyranitar. Tyranitar is a really key factor. It's going to change the weather, and it's going to make now the weather is in to the close side, but he predicts that. Oh my goodness, Johnny's just predicting like crazy. He goes for the gyro ball. Oh well, I mean Tyranitar is really really slow. I guess I would have thought it did a little bit more because Ferrothorn's also really really slow, but I guess whatever, being steel. But then again, Tyranitar, it's burned. That has something to do with it, and Tyranitar has base 110 defense, so that's pretty cool. So now in comes Dugtrio, and he gets spiked, and then Tyranitar goes straight for the crunch and takes out the Dugtrio. Now I told you that laying those spikes out, or letting him lay all those spikes out, was gonna hinder Johnny later on in the game, because getting that many spikes is just bad. So now out comes Mamoswine to try to scare out Dark Arm, because a stab Earthquake with Life Orb will OHKO a Tyranitar, which is really really cool. So in comes Black Rose predicting the Earthquake, and Mamoswine goes straight for the superpower. I don't know if I would have went for the superpower, if I would have went with the Earthquake, but at least with the superpower, you're hitting the Latias for something. But the attack fell. Now Mamoswine doing one Ice Shard to the Latias, it's not going to do as much because it does have the attack down. So he's kind of forced to switch here. Goes into the Politoed because Politoed is probably one of his most defensive players, and he's fearing the Hidden Power Fire from the Latias, which is very common. And he goes Hidden Power, let's see what it is, depending on how much damage it does. Alright, moment of truth. It does really no damage, not effective in the rain. It's probably Hidden Power Fire. So that tells us a lot about the close side competitor, that he's trying to get a diversity here. So knowing that, now we know that it has Hidden Power Fire. It goes straight for the Calm Mind after this, because it's saying to himself that Politoed is not going to really do too much. But he goes for the Toxic. So now the Latias, and I'm sorry for the camera movement, that was kind of my fault. So we're going to bear with me for a couple more seconds. I think I realize. Anyway, so the Latias is getting poisoned, and the Politoed is just kind of like doing some damage, and it's getting some more Calm Minds up. So now, basically, average lifespan of somebody who's Toxic is about 5 turns, and now he just shortened it to 3 turns with Perish Song. So now 3 turns, there's going to be a forced switch out, because no one's going to leave their Pokemon to die unless they really, I don't know. So anyways, so leftovers with Black Rose. The leftovers is kind of making it probably like a 6-turn count, but the Perish Song is also just a 3-turn count. And so now Politoed switches out at this point, because he's like, okay, well, rain's up, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But there's 2 Calm Minds on this Latias, and Latias goes straight for the Dark Pulse, not predicting anything, because at that point, you really couldn't have predicted what he was going to do. So, that Ferrothorn, oh, it's a crit, that's why. The Ferrothorn would have taken it quite nicely if it weren't for the crit. But luck plays into Pokemon. You have 1 out of every 28 moves or something, 1 out of every 16 moves. You have a chance to get a crit. So that's a fairly decent amount of moves. And throughout the day, I mean, he probably didn't get that many crits. So here, Dragon Pulse to finish off the Ferrothorn. At this point, Ferrothorn was so weak that he really, he really wasn't useful for the rest of the match. So Latias is now with 2 Calm Minds, leftovers. Tox is eating away at it. It also has the Perish Song. It's count to 1. So now at this point, Latias is going to have to switch or die. So let's see. So at this point, I don't know what I would be doing. Anyway, so he goes right into the Undying, which is pretty cool. So with the Mamoswine, he went straight for the Ice Shard, which to me, that was over predicting, because yes, the first thought with me was that the Latias would stay in to try to take out the Mamoswine, because it would have been a double kill. But Latias is one of those fast, strong Pokemon that can just come into late game and just go crazy, even with low health. I mean, it'll OHKO certain Pokemon, especially if they're within range. So now here, I probably would have went straight for the Earthquake, thinking that I'm gonna hit whatever is gonna come in, just because I would have banked on him saving that Latias. But that's okay. I mean, people in the heat of battle. I mean, 2020. You have 2020 vision. You know, after the fact. So, anyways, going for Will-O-Wisp. That's not necessarily a prediction there, but so anyway, so he sends in the Politoed, takes the Will-O-Wisp. I mean, it's gonna lose health. It is defensive and all that. Does have leftovers, so it kind of counterbalances. I think Burn takes a little bit more than leftovers, but for the most part, his attacks aren't gonna be too effective. But he misses the Toxic, which is very, very important. And while Jellicent then goes for the Shadow Ball, almost finishing off Politoed. Wow, that's crazy. But I think the Burn will finish him off once the turn goes. Let's see. Yeah. So that was a key moment. Losing that Politoed essentially lost the match for our friendly competitor here. So out comes the Kingdra. I mean, right now it's physical DD Kingdra, which is really, really cool. So here Jellicent is going to go straight for the Will-O-Wisp because he knew they faced each other before. He knew it was a physical Kingdra, and Kingdra is just going to take this chance, go DD. At this point in time, I mean, Jellicent could go straight for the Shadow Ball or probably retreat. So here I'm hoping this Johnny was a little smart and went straight for the Dragon Dance again. Yes, he did. So that was a really good prediction on Johnny's part. He predicted Jellicent to retreat into some other Pokemon that's not necessarily as much of a threat, and that was really good. So now it's 2 DDs, and right now it is technically a +1 with the Burn, I think, because Burn lowers by 1 stage, basically. So here comes the Rest. Wow, that was really unexpected. So DD and Rest, and let's see if it has the Chesto Berry. That's actually a really interesting Kingdra. I haven't really seen any like that, and it does have the Chesto Berry, so that's amazing. So here, tough break. The Ferrothorn misses his Leech Seed, which would have hindered Kingdra's advance in his sweep. So let's see. So Kingdra goes straight for the Waterfall. Even though he resists it, I mean, it's in the rain and all that stuff, it's a +2. And Ferrothorn still takes it like a champ. See, I don't know if I would have went with the Dragon Dance or if I would have went with... Yeah, probably in this case, I probably would have went with the Dragon Dance because he missed his first Leech Seed. He was going to go for Leech Seed again. I would have went for the third Dragon Dance because then it would have allowed me to more or less try to sweep his entire team. So, in goes Undyne, predicting the Waterfall, which he predicts it nicely. I mean, right now, this Kingdra really could have wrecked this whole team. If it would have continued to Dragon Dance at this point. That's kind of what ruined the Kingdra, because now it's only 2 Dragon Dances. Yes, Kingdra could possibly OHKO a lot, but now he can switch into some type of Pokemon and, you know, wall him. I personally really would have just went straight for the plus whatever, +4 or 5 Dragon Dance and went crazy like that, because knowing that Tyranitar was still in play, that really would have made me kind of go crazy. So out comes Grand Mole. Grand Mole is steel, resists stuff, and Kingdra tries to go for the Waterfall, probably gets confused, gets hit, and Earthquake, down goes Kingdra. So that would have been a nice little sweep if played a little bit better. So out comes Mamoswine. Mamoswine is probably faster, so that's why he retreats. He sends into Dark Arm, and this should be a double knockout. But the weather is now changed into into the close quarters favor, and that's Bad News Bears, because that pretty much clinches the game. This is a really long match, so it's pretty good. So I probably would have voted for the Earthquake, but he goes for the Superpower, kind of predicting that. Takes out the Dark Arm, which is really cool, but the Life Orb Recoil on the Mamoswine will take it out, which is kind of sad. I mean, really, in these weather battles, you have to save your Weather Maker. You really do. That's like the key thing to save your Weather Maker. So at this point, this Dragonite is pretty much screwed because it knows nothing but moves that it needs for weather, I think. So here he goes Substitute, and the Substitute comes out, and Black Rose is like, oh my gosh, Substitute, I'm gonna die, and it pretty much turns into a big gigantic Stall War from this point on. So I'm gonna start talking about the tournament and some of the things that are coming up. So in April 2013, the third week of April, we are going to have a tag team match, and I'm going to announce that probably this weekend, the weekend of the 24th. So this video is going to be out the day before or so, but that's okay. And the tag team rules I'm going to explain. Basically, they use the house rules, and it's going to be best 2 out of 3, and you need 2 people to enter, and each person has a party of 6 to choose from. It's actually a lot of fun. We had one of these before, and I feel like having another one again, which, you know what, diversity brings about happiness, definitely. Also, too, looking forward, trying to get some more people to come, so that we can try to get more subdivisions. If we can get about 15 to 20 people to come, I might be able to do 16 and under and over 16, 2 categories, because there's a lot of players that are a little bit younger for the younger group, and there's a lot of players that love the older, more competitive style of play. Also, the new rules that are going to be in effect are no Sandveil, no Snow Cloak, and no Tangled Feet. Also, Garchomp is back being able to be used. Deoxys D is now banned, and I think those are the only real major changes. Oh yes, Tornadus Therian form is also banned. So those are pretty much the major changes to the rule sets and rule rosters. Oh yes, and one other thing, Leftovers is now limited to 2. Unlike every other item, which is limited to only 1. So this hopefully will calm the leftover spammers down a little bit, but also still provide enough defense in the game that will be able to counteract most sweeping threats. So that's the game. Thank you for watching. Has a good one.